to sharing a little bit of knowledge here with everyone. So I guess everything really started out when I was much younger. And I want to say I was a young kid, and my grandparents, they were kind of like my role models, so to say. They were, they had a small family business, nothing huge, but they worked all their lives and they built this business. And, they had what a lot of us, like to pursue when it comes to financial freedom. And they managed to do that. The only downside is that I don't think they had as much the ability to plan financially when it comes to retirement and that type of stuff. And so they unfortunately lost everything, like their entire business, everything just before retirement. So, every single penny out the door, out the window. So I saw that when I was young. Like I didn't exactly it didn't really settle in with me at that point because I was so young, but I knew that at some point in my life, I wanted to make sure that wouldn't be me, and that also I would be able to help people not go through, that type of turmoil, emotional, physical, financial, all of that. Right. So my goal was to somehow be able to learn as much as I could, and then not only help my family and my future, but also help the people that I can make a positive influence on. And that that seed kind of grew. And I went to college and I studied and, learned everything about finance, got my master's degree, et cetera, and then worked in corporate finance for a bunch of years with wealth management, that type of stuff, investment management, really learned the ropes of the industry. And advised, DECA millionaires, if not more, and really learned a lot about them. Instead of just talking, I really tried to listen and figure out their stories, right? How did they make it to where they are today? What did they do differently compared to, 90% of the other population? And at some point, I thought I was ready to attain financial freedom too, because I found that, I don't know, 66% or some crazy statistic like that of millionaires, they're all business owners basically. So I was like, all right, if I really want to play the odds in my favor, and I want to be able to attain financial freedom, and I want to be able to help others also attain financial freedom, I need to kind of change my trajectory here. And that's really what started this account, the Millennial Money Woman. And for those of you who really haven't checked out my profile, definitely do so. But more importantly, I have a blog or a website, and that's also called the Millennial Money Woman. And that's where I really try to, post tips about all the things I really learned when I was in corporate America, learning about wealth management, learning about, different financial techniques when it comes to healthcare, right? Healthcare is so expensive nowadays if you don't have proper coverage, insurance coverage, how to invest, how to do estate planning, that type of stuff. So all of those things, those are on my website. And that's also what my Twitter account really tries to promote, through threads and tweets and that type of stuff. Again, encouraging individuals to see, that there is a way to kind of get out of that rat race, right? The 9 to 5, be able to build wealth and truly enjoy freedom on your own terms.
I love it. So before you broke out of the 9 to 5, you were talking a little about the family's history. What were the type of jobs you were working?
Yeah. So the job that I was really mainly working was in wealth management. So it was in corporate America. Really just, I can't even call it a 9 to 5. It was more like an 8 to 8, if not later. Pretty long hours, but it was mainly focused on, again, different aspects of wealth management, right? So we're talking about anywhere from risk management to investment management to estate planning, lots of estate planning focus, especially with ultra high net worth families, right? They're generally focused on, preserving obviously their wealth as well as passing it down to the remainder of their legacy. So working on that aspect, but also working with young professionals who are generally business owners. And that's kind of where I was so enamored. I really, truly appreciated their stories, how, number one, what kind of motivated them to build the business that they did. And then number two, the discipline that they employed, really, truly employed, in that grit that they had to, make it through those hurdles and those obstacles that seemingly would have deterred them from their path, but they still made it. And now, they're, I don't know, mid 30s or so already, a couple of $1 million in net worth and only going to build more. Like, I just think those stories are so inspirational, especially when they're self-made too. And that's kind of what I kind of focused in my past.
You tweet a lot about discipline, and it's some of your best performing tweets as well. Um, what does discipline mean to you, and how does one build it?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, discipline, it honestly, the true definition for me personally is when you know you need to do something but you don't feel like it. Like, for example, I'm an early bird, right? So I wake up every morning at 3 in the morning. That's my routine every single day, 3 a.m. And when I don't feel like waking up at 3 in the morning, like, that's when I know I need to do it just then. Like, I know I need to do it. And even if I don't feel like it, because whatever, I stayed up late the night before, what have you, the discipline that ultimately, really helps you move forward or succeed is when you really do the things when you don't want to. And whether it's you're waking up at 3 a.m., you're waking up at 8 a.m., you're doing exercise when you least feel like it, you're, calling that client that you least want to call, whatever it is, it's those things that really truly can make a difference. Because if you end up skipping out on it, that kind of sets a precedent, at least in my opinion, right? If you don't end up waking up at 3 a.m. or if you don't call that client, that sets a precedent. And all of a sudden, like, you tell yourself, oh, it's okay if I don't do this. And then what if, a month from now, you tell yourself, okay, it's okay if I don't do this. And then it might become a pattern and a routine, and it can ultimately be self-sabotaging, right? Where you can't actually achieve those things that you've always wanted to do. So discipline, I think, it's difficult to obtain in the beginning if you're not already, very self-aware of your commitment or your purpose. But I'll tell you guys how I found my discipline and what I'm doing right with my blog and my website and my Twitter account. And for me, it's ultimately finding my purpose. That's really what drives my discipline. It's finding out my why, figuring out what my passion is and what I really want to do to help others. And for me, it's helping others find their path to financial freedom and knowing that, I can make an impact on so many different lives in a positive way. That's my purpose. And that's what keeps me going. And that's why I'm disciplined.
So I'm, personally, I very much value sleep. I'm curious, what time do you go to sleep at if you're waking up at 3 a.m.?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Oh yeah. Okay. My I fall asleep, goodness, pretty early. I'm not gonna lie, between 8:30 or 9 o'clock.
So 3 a.m. kind of terrifies me, and a lot of the world, you're based in the U.S.?
Yes, I'm in Florida.
Oh, nice. Okay, EST, an elite time zone, one would say. Um, Being an EST, a lot of people that you're probably associating with are asleep at that time. So, what type of stuff are you doing from like 3 to 7 a.m.?
Yeah, good question. So my routine is the same every single morning. Some might call it pretty boring, but it gets me ahead. So the first thing I do is meditate. Every single morning I meditate for, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes or so. Try to sit outdoors, and really try to breathe and focus on my breathing, because I feel like that it centers me mentally and it really helps me focus on the tasks ahead. I try to just clear my mind, stay away from my phone, messages, all that type of stuff. Just really try to be at inner peace and start the day off on a really positive note. That's the first thing. The second thing, I've really taken to drinking a lot of water, especially in the morning. I find my brain functions very well. So I try to drink 2 to 3 glasses of water every single morning over a couple of hours. But it really does help me focus and work the best, basically. So my best work comes in the morning. After I do that, I work for, I don't know, probably 3 hours or so, like really deep focus, whether it's writing a new blog post for my website, setting up a thread for my Twitter account, writing more tweets for my Twitter account, or sometimes I try to educate myself on SEO topics, how to become a better blog writer, how to be able to, connect with my audience, or I try to reach out to some of my audience members in different time zones. That's really like dedicated, deep work, and I get a lot done. I basically try to get the hardest tasks done in those first 3 hours. So the rest of my day, I'm already like, I feel like I'm ahead of the world, or ahead of my schedule at least. And then from there, I exercise for an hour to really get the blood pumping and get ready for the day. And then after that, I do my morning affirmations for about 15 minutes. And that's when the day really starts.
So two more questions, and then I think we'll get some of the other speakers involved as well. Then we'll bring it back into yourself. One of them is, so you're very dedicated to Twitter now. Is this basically your full-time job?
Yeah, so it's Twitter, and I would probably say more so also my blog. So the Millennial Money Woman, that's really where I dedicate, I'd say probably 60% of my time.
And what type of content and what type of things are people learning for there? Basically, like, it's what I tell everybody who has a blog. Why is somebody paying, or are they paying to read it?
So no, my blog, it's everyone can access it. So it's not like a paid newsletter or anything of that nature. Basically, if you type in the Millennial Money Woman, anyone can read it, anyone can access it. It's there to literally help people get better on their way.
Okay, very nice. And so for yourself, as somebody that's dedicated to this and dedicated to building towards, the millions and others that are inspired to follow this path, I'm curious, are you open to sharing, like, where does the money come in? Somebody's doing the discipline, they're writing their stuff out, they're putting it in. Where do they start accruing capital?
Yeah, that's a great question. So how do people accumulate capital if they are disciplined? I mean, I guess in the end, it depends on kind of the job, or the profession that they're in. So it's kind of hard to say where it comes in, but I'll kind of share where it came in for me. In the beginning, I had to figure out like what my purpose was, right? And I already shared that. Once I knew my purpose, I really created an outline, and I figured out like how to approach number one, anything from creating the blog to creating the content to connecting with the audience to building, a platform that could truly benefit my audience. And it nothing came in, honestly, in the beginning. Like, it was so slow. And I think that a lot of people that, try to build something, whether it's a business or a side hustle or whatever it is, a lot, at least of the folks that I've spoken to in the past, they are very disciplined, but only to a certain point. In other words, if they don't see results within, I don't know, a month or even 6 months, right? I see a lot of tweets out there like, hustle for 6 months and then you'll see success. And while I think that those tweets are definitely awesome to see and very motivational, depending on the industry you're in or the job or profession you're in, maybe 6 months isn't enough time. Maybe you need to hustle and work harder for longer periods of time. And that's where I see some people, they start to get, demotivated. They see, I'm not really seeing the results, or they compare themselves to other websites. I did that too in the beginning. I compared myself to others. And then I realized, I'm like, what am I doing here? Why am I comparing myself to someone else? They have a totally different background than me. I need to focus on my path forward. And when I really started to focus and compare myself to who I was yesterday and really try to look at the big picture, like zooming out instead of only, staying so centered on my daily activities, I really started to see a difference, right? And I think as long as you're focused on your purpose, on your why, and keep focusing ahead, like long term and not so much in the short term, that's when the money really starts coming in, to answer your question. It takes time, but it's like a snowball, right? It starts, once you get momentum, it starts building and building and building, and you'll start seeing the difference, even if it's a year or 2 or 3 years from now. It's just that consistent momentum that you'll need.
Love it. And last question, and then I'm going to throw it over to Decade. What does money mentality mean to you?
That's a great question. I mean, in the end, money mentality definitely means different things to different people. But for me, it means really improving your mindset, and improving your mindset consistently. Because I think of the mind like a muscle, basically, right? Like you always got to exercise every single day, right? Or every week, or whatever your schedule is, in order to stay fit. And if you, let's say, exercise, I don't know, in February of this year, and you say, all right, I exercised once, I'm done. I'm going to do it again next year, chances are you're not going to be that fit. And the same thing goes for improving your money mentality, right? Your money mindset. You got to be consistent with your commitment to becoming a better, money mindset, or developing a better money mindset every, be it week or day or month or whatever it is. The point is, you can't just work on it once and that's it, wash your hands and walk away from it. And I think it really all starts with, again, finding your purpose. I know I've said this so many times, but I am a true believer that when you find your purpose, your purpose will really help guide you. So again, for me, it's helping out others, retiring my parents early, helping leave a future legacy. Like, all those things have a direct impact on the commitment level that I have to my money mindset. And it could also to everyone else here in this audience. So in the end, I think it really comes down to practicing consistent habits and making sure that you focus on the long-term results. Again, not the short term, or not comparing yourself to others out there, because everyone else has a different story, right? They all come from different backgrounds, but really focusing on your own goals, on your own path, and practicing that consistently. And I think with that, like making those affirmations, tracking your success and your progress, those things can really make a difference in your financial future.
Awesome. Fiona, this has been incredible. And definitely, if we're, as we continue to go with the other speakers, if there's any point you want to come in on, just throw up that raise hand feature and we'll get you right back involved.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Okay. Colin, you ready?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would just, I think that you're always ready to go, so no need. But just for anyone who isn't familiar, Colin, decade investor, one of my close friends. We've been building together on Twitter for a little bit over a year now, and it's been incredible seeing his growth. Found him at 10K followers, so he's a 5X follower for me. And, along the way, have learned a ton from him. He's a go-to guy for me to try to understand new investment strategies because he really puts the time in. And I love watching this guy because he went out and was like, I'm going to build a YouTube channel. And I, had never really seen somebody build one from zero personally. And he just built that up. And now he's really open to new ideas. So I'm fascinated by your brain and how it works, Colin. So I was excited to have you on this space. And if you want to go ahead and just share with us, a little bit of how it works and what money mentality means to you and what mindset you think people need to be successful, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, so sorry y'all if it's a little windy. I'm outside, so it's windy out here in the Midwest. We had some snow last week, so it's the first day. We've had good weather, so I'm outside enjoying it. But thank you for that introduction. Super appreciative for that. So for everyone that doesn't know, my name is not Decade Investor. My name is actually Colin, and I'm 23 years old. And so I'm a young gun, but that doesn't mean much in the sense of age because I think, I know education is more important. And so I've spent the last 6-7 years really understanding money, understanding finances, understanding investing. It all started out of curiosity. I think that's where a lot of people really start to understand money, or at least get the want to learn about money and everything in life. But in this case, in money, and the curiosity of, this was my mindset when I was 15, 16 years old. I had a mowing business where me and a buddy would mow lawns after football practice in the summer, and we had some cash. And I remember my mom was like, "Oh, put your money in the bank," and I hated the bank. Not because now I don't like the bank because they pay you pennies, but back then I didn't know why I didn't like the bank. I just didn't. Well, I know I wanted to see my money physically, and so I was like, but there has to be a better way than just the bank, and there has to be a better way than putting cash, in my shoebox under my bed. And so I started researching. Probably a lot of people did this. How to grow your wealth, how to build wealth, how to become a millionaire. I Googled those things when I was 15, 16 years old, and started to understand that, there's a lot that goes into it. But with that being said, there's a lot of things that is really simple to understand. And I progressing through the last 6 or 7 years of researching this stuff, and now I do this full time. So I'm on my computer and my phone probably too much, researching things and helping people out. But I really boils down to money and money mentality. And it boils down to the behavior, because at the end of the day, building wealth is as simple as, it can be as simple as opening an investing account putting some money in there, setting up auto deposits, and going along with your life. And so it boils down to behavior and psychology of money. And one of my favorite books I read, one of my first books I read too, was the Millionaire Next Door, that explains basically the average behavior of the average millionaire. Because when most people think about millionaires and people with wealth, they think about the celebrities, those with, the top 1% of the 1%, right? Private planes, nice cars and all that stuff. Now, can we all have that? I believe in abundance mentality. I think, if you put in the work, that everything's possible. But for the average millionaire, the millionaire next door, that's not the lifestyle they live. It's the lifestyle of making simple decisions every single day with their behaviors when it relates to money, and compounding that over years and decades of their life. And when people ask me about, what do I, invest into what, invest into this, what do I invest in all this stuff? My answer is truly it's behavior thing. It's once we know what we want to invest into, it's okay, what actions do I need to take every single day to make sure that I can do what I want to do in terms of with my money. So if I want to invest X amount of dollars every month, what actions do I need to take to be able to hit that target? What do I need to increase my income? Do I need to decrease my expenses? Right. And I think Gav said it again, I thank you for the introduction. But I'm someone where when I have a goal set in my mind, I do whatever I can to make it happen. And I think that has helped me a lot. And when it comes to building wealth and sometimes, I think when I look back and reflect, that sometimes I'm a little extreme on it, but that's just me being self-aware of myself. But, there comes a point where you have goals, and you have to be able to dissuade yourself from making decisions that would inhibit you from reaching those goals with your money. And so if you have a budget, see, a lot of people are like, I want to have a budget. I need to set up a budget. That's great. That's the first step, and that's the easy step. The easy step is going on Google Sheets or Excel and creating a budget. The hard part is actually sticking to your budget. Whenever you have, you set yourself $300 a month in groceries, $500 a month in groceries, whatever you spend on groceries or whatever category, the hard part is saying, okay, I'm not going to spend over this amount of money. Or if I spend over this amount, I'm going to cut back somewhere else so that I can still hit my investing goals with my money. And so for me, like the biggest thing I realized in this 6 or 7 years on this journey of building wealth is, again, it's the behavior side of it. And I think Fiona touched on that a lot with discipline. Is you have to be disciplined in what you're doing with your money. You have to be able to, like she said, when you don't feel like it, like when everything, all signs and your feelings is how do you point to, no, I want to go do this. The discipline has to jump in and say, no, like this is what I'm actually going to do. It has to supersede how you feel today. The discipline that you set has to supersede how you feel every single day. And so when the money mindset, it's the biggest part of wealth building. Because like I said, we can sit here all day and plug in numbers on our computer of, if I invest $500 a month into the S&P 500, assuming an 8% average annual return over 40 years, I'll have $1 million or whatever the number is, right? That's great. But the money mindset, the discipline comes in to being able to do the $500 every single month, $300 every single month, $3,000, whatever your number is that you set for yourself. And so, I'm just, again, I'm someone that when I have a goal set in my mind, I just want to go out there and hit that goal and make it happen. And if you're not someone like that and you're self-aware and that like you need some external push, then find a group of people around you via the internet, social media, Twitter, DM me, like I'll be that person to be the community for you to say, hey, like let's make the right decision with what we want to do, stick to what we've set for our goals. And so that's kind of what the money mindset means to me. And I think Fiona said it perfectly, is the discipline and the behavior of money. Because at the end of the day, we can plug in numbers all day, but it truly boils down to our day-to-day actions, which will allow us to see that those numbers on the spreadsheet on the computer come to life. Because we can sit here and plug in numbers, but if we aren't making the decisions and taking the actions and getting in that mindset of, this is what I set for goals for myself for my money, then those numbers will never hit our actual accounts. It'll just be a number on a screen, not in our actual accounts.
Really good stuff there, Colin. And one of the things that I found within your mindset is that being very open to new concepts, crypto, NFTs, other areas. Can you talk a little bit on that?
Yeah, I think it's really important to be open in everything in life. That's where I've been able to find success in opportunities, is being open and not closed off to any opportunity or any thing that comes my way. But when it comes to money, most definitely, when I first started investing, I invested into 4 individual stocks and lost my tail on 3 of them, and one went up, but I was net negative. I lost money, and I realized like there's got to be something better. So I jumped into ETFs and really built my foundation off that. And then, I was like, okay, what's this Bitcoin stuff people are talking about? What's this Ethereum, right? And at first, I really did think it was, I mean, it was kind of used as used for legal drug purposes and stuff way back. But now, I still just thought it was a scam. And I was like, this crypto stuff, like internet money, what's this internet money, digital money? I don't see it. And so I learned to just, hey, one night I'm going to go and just research what this is. NFTs, same thing. I was like, who in the heck would buy an internet photo? So I said, okay, I'm going to sit around and I'm going to actually research it. I'm going to spend a weekend researching utility, researching just the basics of NFTs, and listen to people that are both for it and against it, and then use what I found from that research to make my own opinion. And I think that's where I found success. And I tell people is what I share with I'm very open on my investments, on my Twitter, on my social media accounts. Y'all can see I show my entire portfolio. Like I'm very open about it. But I always say, do your own research. I know that term is thrown around as like a joke or whatever, but genuinely, I always tell people like what I see doesn't necessarily mean what you will see. Like if I watched this video on NFTs and it like clicked, but for someone else, they might watch the exact same video and it wouldn't click for them, and they're like, oh, these things are money laundering schemes or whatever the case is, right? So you have to be the key is nothing's right or wrong per se. It's what you have to be open to it, and then you make your opinion. So don't just you hear Bitcoin and your neighbor said your neighbor bought Bitcoin at 70 and now he's down 50%, so he's calling Bitcoin a scam or whatever he's down. Don't just be like, oh, Bitcoin's a scam. Go and do your own research. Be open to learning new things, because that is where you'll find opportunity, right? And I think that is where I've found opportunity, both in my personal life, both in my business life, both through social media and through investing, is just being open to research, form my own opinion based on of positives and negatives on that topic. So with crypto, like I said, watching videos on NFTs. I watched a 2-hour video of a guy going against NFTs and just trying to understand his point, going with an open mind, saying, why does he believe this to be true? And then I don't have to agree with him. Maybe I do agree with him, but at least I have my own opinion. Now, when someone asks me, I can say, hey, here's my thoughts on NFTs. Here's why I like them. Here's not why I like them. Not just because I'm saying oh, this guy on the internet said he just bought NFT, so I'm going to buy NFT, right? I actually now have an opinion based because I read the goods and the bads, and it's not biased because I only watched the good, read the good, or read the bad. So being open has tremendously helped me in my investing opportunities, and again in my personal life and in business. It's just being able to say hey, I don't know this topic. I have no opinion on this topic, so I'm going to listen to both sides so I can form my own opinion. And that's kind of how I've, like I said, been able to find success in that aspect of my life.
Love it, man. What's one thing that you do on a daily basis that's part of your routine that more people need to be doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very routine-based person. I pretty much have my days figured out, just because I do the same thing every day. But the biggest thing that's really helped me, and it doesn't have to do with money, but it does have to do with mentality. And Fiona said this, kind of something similar, is I work out twice a day. I work out in the morning and I work out in the afternoon, weather permitting. If I go outside, if not, I'll work out inside or do something. I just move during the day twice a day, usually for an hour or longer both times. And I'm someone, when I like to run, so I run long distances, half marathons, and occasionally a full marathon. But I don't run with any music. I don't run with any headphones in. I simply run with me in my mind, and that does a lot of things when it comes to money, but also outside of money. Is it really helps me, for lack of a better term, beat my mind, because when I'm out there running and for 8-10 miles or whatever the case is, it's not fun. I personally don't like running, but I know it's a really good work out for my mind. And I don't know if anyone listens to David Goggins, but he's ultra marathon runner, just a crazy
Stay
athlete.
hard.
Yeah, yeah. And he says to callous your mind. So like just like when you're working out on like you're lifting weights, your knuckles, the inside of your palms, get calluses. Same thing, like you're callousing your mind. You're working on that mentality. And so I've really been able to like I that's something I do every day. I work out, and then when I don't work out, I just feel like I didn't do anything for the day, which isn't necessarily always great, but yeah, that's just something I do every day, and I think it overflows into multiple aspects of my life, including financially and with the money mindset of being able to have that power per se over my mind, knowing that I can conquer any challenge or any task that comes my way. Just like with the YouTube channel, right? Like I jumped on YouTube, no idea what the heck how YouTube worked, no idea how to edit videos. My first video, if you go on my channel, you go to my first video ever. That was my first time ever editing a video, and I just learned. Like I just jump into things, and that's my mindset into it. Is I've been able to say, you know what, like it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be very hard, but the more I do it, the easier it gets. Same thing with budgeting. Same thing with money. Like it's hard to see your money $5,000, $3,000, $500 go into the stock market on January 5 of this year or whatever, beginning of this year, and it's down however much percent. That's hard. But the more you do it, the longer you've done it, the easier it gets. Because now, like, if you're new to the space or you're new to like Twitter or investing, and you follow people that talk about investing, they're like loving this, right? They're like, buy more, you know what I mean? But when you're new to it, it's hard to see that when your money's down, when your investment's down on paper. And so, yeah, my biggest thing is running that I do every day, but there's so many other things I do every single day when it pertains to money and like social media and in my business that really formulates and makes me and the Decade Investor brand run. So that's kind of my daily tips.
Love it, man. Appreciate you being up here sharing with us. We'll definitely bring back around, but really good stuff. And of course, if you want to, come back in at any point, just throw that hand up. All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay. Mr. Danny Nas, good to have you on. We've done a couple of mindset spaces, but this is a little bit more money mentality. And you've been in here for a bit, so you've kind of heard the questions I'm asking, and would love to hear from you.
What's going on, Gav? Good to be back. Good to be with you on yet another space. I've lost counts how many spaces that we've done together. So appreciate you inviting me in. Big fan of Fiona and her work. So it's good to be up here. Decade, I'm not so familiar with you, but definitely gonna check you out and add you to one of my Twitter lists. So yeah, I appreciate being up here. Yeah. Oh, wow. Money mentality. I think for me earlier in my career, and I've been a serial entrepreneur for over 20 years. I think earlier in my career, I was very focused on money. I think, young people, obviously, growing up, you want to be successful. You want to get a good job. You want to do what you love and you want to make money. And what I've learned, over the course of time is, I focus less on money and more on passion. And, early on, I left high school. I signed up for the Navy at 17. I saw the world. I traveled all over. I experienced a lot of different things. And that was really what instilled the discipline that I have today. So for me, the foundation was that discipline. But the traveling really opened up my eyes to a new world. This was like right before the internet really was a thing. We're talking mid to late 90s. And so it's interesting growing up at that time, being in computers pre-internet, then traveling the world, not really having access to the internet, and then coming out and starting a business with the internet. And so using that foundation of discipline and the strive and the desire for me to find out what am I passionate about, what am I really into, and building business and art and design really are what have driven my life over the last 20 years. But that passion for art has really and design has really opened up my eyes to a whole different array of things. And in building my first business, it gave me the money to be able to explore the different things that I've done in my life. And over the course of those, first 5 to 10 years of building businesses and developing relationships, that's where my mentality for money came from. I was lucky enough, I think, right when Roth IRAs were created, my accountant was like, "You should open up a Roth IRA," and I was like, "Sure, let's do that." And that was really my first introduction to long-term investing. But prior to that, I really, I grew up. My dad, traded, he invested in the 80s and in the 90s. And so that was really my first introduction to the investing of money and the stock market. And it's just interesting how my career has brought everything back full circle, where now, art and design led to trading, trading led to writing, writing led to learning, and learning is now leading to coaching. But all through that, my mentality about money was follow my passion. And I'll talk about that. I've talked about that on spaces with you before. I'll continue to talk about it. Passion for me, that's really what drives me. It's not money. Money will come. And I think for all the younger people that are on this space listening, and for anybody who may listen to this recording, don't focus on the money. Focus on the passion. Focus on what you love, what you are interested in, and what you want to do. If you figure that out early on, it will always lead you down the right road. But in time, in addition to that, you should never also be afraid to follow a different road, to take a different road that may be a passion. And I'll give you an example. Like, I started off my career in art and design. And that led me to meeting somebody who needed my help developing a marketing plan. And that led me to founding a new business because I thought this is a great road to go down. That business led me down the road to when crypto started. And for me, it was 2017 where I really got bit by the crypto bug. And that led to a different type of money mentality where I thought, wow, this is really fascinating, really interesting. I'm gonna buy some Bitcoin, I'm gonna buy some Ethereum, some Cardano, and a little of this and a little of that. And that just led to a different money mentality. And then that led me to where we are kind of today, where 2 years, 3 years ago, I focused on let me learn about trading. I mean, not learn about trading, but learn how can I be a full-time trader. That led me to last year focusing solely on my writing, which now leads me to this year where I really just want to focus on my coaching. And so I'm each one of these years, and about 3 years ago, I decided I want to just focus on one big thing every year. That was my mentality. Focus on one big thing every year and do everything I can every single day to build on top of that. And that's really been, even though it's not money forward, that has been my money mentality, is really just focusing on my passion.
Love it, Danny. So when do you so for a lot of people, right, they're told like, oh, follow your passion, right? Chase your dreams and that'll then the money will come. Um, do you think that that is valid for everybody, or do you kind of have to work within that?
I think everybody. I think Fiona said it. Everybody's different. Everybody's path is going to be different. The way my brain is wired is going to be different for everybody else. But the one, I think, common factor, the one thing that you need to do, regardless of what you're passionate about, is to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, that are more talented than you, and put yourself in groups of people that you can learn from. And whether it be peers, whether it be mentors, coaches, you know, I think people are really easy to drop 200 grand on college and spend 4 years. And I think that's certainly valid for certain people. But if you were to take that same amount of money and deployed it in very strategic and different ways, whether it be working with a coach or learning very specific things that you're interested in, that might be better for other people. Like for me, college was never going to be the answer. I didn't have the mentality or the patience to sit in the classroom and listen. I was more, I need to be hands on. I want to go out and I want to learn what I want to learn on my time. And and that's what I did. But that's my mentality. It's not necessarily going to be somebody else's mentality. But I think you're only going to be able to do what you want to do by trying. And I think a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I think some people, they try and they fail and they give up. Where I see more failure is more of a learning experience. I've failed, and I've failed a lot, but I've also learned a lot from my failures, and I've made sure not to fail the same way twice. And with each failure comes a learning experience. And the one main thing I learned very early on in my career, the most important thing you can learn as a young person is the ability to learn. Learning how to learn is like a superpower. And now for me, I know how I learn. Now it may not be, maybe different for somebody else how they learn, but if you can identify early on how you learn as a human, as an individual, that should be your superpower. That's what you need to figure out. For me, a lot of my learning comes through writing. I read a lot. I loved hearing about Fiona's morning routine because I have kind of a similar routine. I think Tim Ferriss does a really good job of dissecting, the big earners, the power people. A lot of them meditate. I think there's something to be said about that. People work out their bodies. Why can't you work out your mind? And I think meditating, being able to try and focus your mind, whether it's focusing it on something or focusing it on nothing. I think that's something that somebody that is interested in being successful and doing the things day in day out that they want to do to be successful. You have to train your mind as well as your body.
I love that. Fiona, do you want to weigh in on that? I think that that's something that I've maybe seen a couple times in your time in, which is teaching yourself how to learn.
Could you repeat that, please?
Yes, no problem at all. So Danny just discussed how one of the most important parts of his mentality was not just learning, but learning how he learns and understanding how he learns and teaching himself to be a learner. Is that something that you focus on?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think he's 100% right too. Learning is so important. And I think he said one thing too, I put a little heart next to it too, because, failure really is, it's such an important part to the growth process, right? To learning different things. And for me, I try to, and similar actually to what Danny said, is, trying to figure out one big thing, trying to make one big thing happen each year. I think it really comes from starting to plan ahead of time, right? So it's planning your week ahead, planning your year ahead, really trying to implement those New Year resolutions or what have you. But yeah, to answer your question, I think learning is incredibly important. And honestly, I think the more you learn, the more you realize how little you know, because there is so much out there to learn. I mean, we're never going to be experts on everything, right? So it's all about learning one step at a time. And again, I think what was said before was so well put, that if you want to be the best at something, you have to surround yourself with people that are better than you. And my mentor actually said this to me very well. He said that if you're in a room and you're the smartest person in that room, you are in the wrong room. And I think that really, shows again that learning is so important in every facet of your life.
Love that. Dan, you want to bounce off that?
Oh yeah, I mean that's totally my mentality. And I've always been it's interesting. I actually, I just got off vacation, and this is one of my first vacations in a long time where I've completely unplugged. Meaning, I wasn't trading, I wasn't working, I wasn't even reading. I was just spending time with my fiance in Puerto Rico, beautiful weather, surrounded by amazing food and scenery. And it really just gave me the time to unplug and think. And that's all I really did this last week, was just think. Think about where my life is now. Think about, am I doing everything that I need to do that makes me happy? Reassessing absolutely everything, from my daily routine to what I eat to my everything, and I like to do that every once in a while, at least once a year, where I kind of just completely unplug and reassess everything. But yeah, I mean, I've really, for me, where I've thrived is surrounding myself with people that are smarter than me. And I would consider myself a fairly intelligent person. I've never, like I said, I don't have a 4-year degree. I never went to college, but I've always learned really, really well, picked up things really quickly. And the one thing that I've really focused on the last couple of years is to put myself and get myself into situations where in peer groups. So I have a few peer groups that I'm in with, half a dozen to 10 people, and each group is different. But each group, the individuals that are in the groups are very highly specialized, very highly intelligent people, and we all meet. And we feed off of each other. We tell each other our deepest, darkest fears and secrets, and ask each other and lean on each other for help, because we all need people to go through life with. And I think that's what most people lack is it's not that they can't do it, it's just that maybe they don't have access to the right group of people that they surround themselves with. And that's the beauty of the internet, right? I mean, 20 years ago it would be very difficult to do some of the things that we're capable of doing today. Now you just need to jump on Twitter, right? Jump on LinkedIn, start talking about the things that you're passionate about, and very quickly you'll start to find your peer group. You'll start to find the people that are very interested in the same things you're interested in. And then you got to take that leap of faith. Then you got to send out that cold DM, and say, hey, I really love what you have to say. I'd love to pick your brain for 30 minutes. You got to go in, you got to lean into the ask. You got to take that leap of faith. But surrounding yourself with like-minded people, but people that are smarter than you, super, super important.
100%. Great points from Danny, Fiona, and Decade. Sam, I saw you popped into the room, and I feel like you might have some thoughts on this topic. Would you care to share?
Yeah, absolutely, Wolf. Thanks for inviting me up. One of the things that you guys were talking about really, really important is discipline. I live my life really according to that word right there. Motivation is one thing, right? Having the motivation to do something. Discipline is putting the plan into action and then abiding by those rules, right, of your life, or what you tend or particularly want to do throughout the day. I don't live a super structured life. I think that everything to me sometimes can be very spontaneous, and when it comes to money mentality, though, which is the title of this group, which I do want to touch upon, is we all talk, and myself included, about making money, right? How to make money, but we never talk about how to keep it. And I think that capital preservation is really, really important in having that money mentality mindset, which we tend to forget about. And that's something that I have actually, I tend to forget about myself many times is, you make this money, how do you keep that money? And, and then also on top of that is how do you grow it? Something that I think Decade was talking about. I'm not sure if, were you the guy at Decade that we were talking about? You're 23 years old?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, no, I loved what he was talking about. When it came down to, what was the one thing that he liked to do throughout the day, or, once a day or a couple times to kind of prepare himself on the day. And he said, working out is something that he did, without having any headphones on and really being able to kind of read the thoughts of his own mind. You really got to get to know yourself in this world, right? And I'm a firm believer in manifestation, but manifestation, and the law of attraction is something that I wholeheartedly believe in. But it comes with action, right? And intention. And that's one of the things that I also like to do. I like to work out. I like to go on runs without any headphones on. I like to kind of read my own thoughts. I like to put out a lot of intentions. I wake up every single morning, and the first thing that I do before I look at my phone or anything at all is I start doing intentions in my mind, because your subconscious is open the first thing in the morning and then right before you go to sleep. That's the 2 times of the day where your subconscious is the most open during that time. And anything that you pour into your subconscious has to appear in your conscious 3D reality as well, right? So that's what I like to do. Another thing that I like to do now, I'm an options trader in the market. I'm a day trader. I trade every single day. Another thing that I really like to do, and something that helped me throughout my trading journey, was when I felt like I was, losing on certain days, or, my mindset just wasn't there. I was in a lack mindset. I turned it around. I changed it to an abundance mindset. Now, what does that do? Um, One of the things that, or how are you supposed to do that? One of the things that I did was I would actually take my account balance, and then I would add 1 to 2 to 3 zeros, depending on whatever amount that I wanted. And I would take that account balance and I would write it in a dry erase on a mirror. I would put it up on a board if I had a dry erase board in my room. I would put that number as the background of my phone. And then I would also put that on a small little business card, kind of size paper. I'd write that number. I'd fold it and I'd put it in my pocket. So every time I reached in my pocket, I would kind of feel that paper and that number would pop up in my mind. Anytime that I go to the bathroom, I'm in the mirror, if I'm brushing my teeth or doing whatever in the morning, I'd see that number again. Anytime that I'm looking at my phone, I'd see that number. So naturally, you're starting to like program your mind, right? What you're doing. But what does that do? It puts you in the abundance mindset. It puts you in the mindset of already having it. And when you're put in that mindset of already having something like that, now you're in an abundance mindset and you get into this vortex of really attracting everything that you want in your life. So whether it's money, whether it's, a potential job opportunity, whether it's a relationship, anything in your life, your mind is very powerful. What Danny was saying earlier, you work out your body. What about your mind? It's very important to work out your mind as well. And I think that that's something that's definitely helped me on this journey, helped me in other businesses or other aspects of my life, which I really was looking at from a sense of lack. But as soon as I really turned it around, you quantum leap into this. You quantum leap into this area of abundance, and it really naturally just starts flowing to you at that point.
I like that a lot. Certainly, we've talked about the intentions. Fiona, did you have thoughts on that as well?
No, I just thought it was, put very, very well, especially with the abundance mindset, right? And from kind of transitioning from the scarcity mindset. I'm not going to lie. I was actually one of those people initially that thought like, oh my gosh, like, what does that mean? Abundance mindset. I didn't believe in that in the beginning, right? Like end of my teens. And I was like, it's just, it doesn't even work. But then one of my really good friends told me that she started changing her mindset through, affirmations, really trying to manifest, like the previous speaker just said, with like that piece of paper. I thought that was really impressive. Like it's literally everywhere where you look. And it really does manifest. So my friend told me this happened to her life too. She was able to manifest this job that she always wanted. And it happened. Like she was able to get it because she spoke to herself like positive thoughts just before her job interview. She landed the interview. And when she asked the person that hired her, like, why did you hire me? Because I'm not even that well qualified. The person, her boss, said, well, you came in there in that room. You like dazzled everyone because I could really see that you wanted this more than anyone else. And she told me it was because of these affirmations that she was saying to herself. And since then, it's just changed my life. Like hearing that one positive experience, like I can truly say, like, what the previous speaker said, it really does change your life, those affirmations and making sure, switching your mind from scarcity to abundance, it really can change your life.
Yeah, and just to actually add to that
Re-
as well, I'm sorry to cut you off, Wolf. Just to kind of add to that and piggyback off of what you said real quick, it's really important to have those intentions, but it's really important not to have opposing thoughts, right? Not everybody might, because in your logical side of your mind, it's really telling you that well, why this can't really happen. I can't do this. I can't do this. What you really have to do, though, you don't have to be super positive all day. There's days that you're gonna have where you're not super chipper, you're not super happy all day, and something happens, or let's say you get a flat tire and all these other things, right? Life happens, it's understandable, but it's really about tilting the scale. Okay, so it's about, are your positive thoughts, are your positive intentions, are they outweighing the negative? That's really what matters. As soon as you tilt that, and as soon as it outweighs, whatever is going to outweigh is going to show up in your reality, and that's the truth, right? But so if you're having like these positive intentions that you're giving out on a daily basis, and then you have like the counter intentions that really aren't working, well, this isn't going to happen or whatever, figure out in your mind what's outweighing what. And whatever outweighs, that's what appears in your reality.
Love it. Well put, Sam. Okay, so we've run for 1 hour. We're going to go around and give everybody an opportunity for any, closing thoughts, things along those lines, because I do have another space coming up in about an hour, and I've been on spaces for 6 hours straight. I should probably eat.